Alright guys, welcome back. I got a couple of bolts here for the pulley on the torque converter on the engine side, so let's go ahead and see if we can finish that up. Okay, so on the left here we have the original bolt that came with the kit, and as you can see it's in between these two. I have a 2-inch long option and a 1.5-inch long option. So since this is metric, it was just an in-between size. So I think that bolt's actually a little long, and that's why this spacer exists, but I'm not sure. So I think we're probably going to end up with this bolt, but I'll try this one first, see if it fits. Okay, so I got that bolted on, and I think I have determined the purpose of the spacer is to match the depth of the sprocket, but up here on the output shaft. So that way the belt is aligned, because right now, as you can see, it's diagonal, so that's not going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this and put in the longer bolt and put that spacer in behind this sheave. Alright, there we go. Spacer's installed. The belt is nice and parallel. So that's awesome. Now to move on to putting the cover on. Okay, so I just noticed that this cover has to be trimmed in order for there to be a place for the chain to exit. So I don't know exactly where that's going to be yet, so we'll just kind of set that off to the side for now. And then we'll figure out what is next on this project. It's looking pretty good though. I still can't believe how wide the engine and transmission is. It's ridiculous. Okay, so I'm just looking at the pieces I have here of my Jackshaft and bearings and stuff from my previous e-bike project. I'm just trying to figure out how I want to orientate these in order to get them to fit on the bike. Before I had it clamped around the center post and then a tall gear here, small gear here. But that's not going to work for this one because it's offset too far to the left. So I think I might try to put both the gears in the middle, one here, and then do a chain to the left side, and then have a bearing on either side, but I'm not sure that's going to line up. I'm definitely not going to be able to use this mount. I'm going to have to cut and weld a new one, so I don't know. I'm just going to work with stuff until I see what lines up. Okay, so here's a better visualization of what we got. So bearing, big sprocket, little sprocket, bearing. So I just have to figure out exactly how this is going to mount on the bike, because if we look at it horizontally, so I need to be able to position it up and down where neither of these chains or sprockets will run into this bottom part of the frame or the top part. And then over here, I need to position it so that those two line up, and so that that smaller sprocket will line up with a 44 tooth rag joint sprocket in back. I might have to do a hub adapter situation instead, but I also need to, ooh, that's heavy. Also need to figure out some way to support this without causing interference. See, the mounting points there are only like a third of the way up the sprocket. They're not below the sprocket, so I have to make some sort of like U-shaped piece of metal, maybe from like the fork of a bike or something. And I have to figure out a way to tie that back into the frame where it'll be structurally rigid and not like twisting back and forth. Okay, so now we're starting to make some progress. So what I did here is I took the muffler clamp and plate setup that I used on the e-bike, and then instead of putting both pillow block bearings on there, I only put on one, and then that's clamped down, so that saves me from having to fabricate something new. And then now, basically, I just need to fabricate something to mount these two holes back to the frame somehow. So I'll have to figure out where I want to do that, but you can see I have decent chain alignment here for the front, And then for the rear, I'm probably going to have to, let me gun sight it here. So I'm probably going to have to do some sort of hub sprocket thing, but at least it's doable now. It's in the range of where we need to be. So I went searching through my scrap metal pile, and I have this really nice piece of bent steel tube, or, well, that might be pipe, it's pretty thick. Anyway, I think I'm just going to cut that back part flat, so just imagine it'll just be a U there to clean the sprocket, and it'll mount back where the kickstand was, and then up top I'll weld a little piece of angle iron, and then I can bolt through these holes into the angle iron, and then it'll all be supported and back to the frame. Okay, so I have my piece of angle iron here, all cut, holes drilled for mounting. I'll just kind of mock this up for the time being so you can see. See if I can do this with one hand. Okay, so that's going to line up to those holes like so, and then that's either going to butt up to the frame, or I'm going to take a little bit of material out on the top and then have it sit on the frame and weld it on. Okay, I just got done welding up this bracket here. That's going to be going underneath the pillow block bearing. See there? That's all welded up nice. So I'm going to let this cool down a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and bolt it on to the pillow block there. So then I can go ahead and weld the final part down there on the kickstand bracket. Alright, well, the bracket is bolted up, looking good. It looks like I was a little off on my height guess there. It's still really hot, I don't want to get burned, but you can see that's not sitting on there. So, I am going to go ahead and make a bracket that extends from here. I don't know if you can see that in focus. Basically from this part up to that part of the center stem. So yeah, that's the plan. Make a little triangle bracket and then weld that onto the end of this bar. Alright, so I got my bracket fabricated up there, stripped the paint off. That's ready to weld. So I can go ahead and do that and then weld on this guy here. Alright, there we go. The new bracket completely installed. Hard as a rock. That's not going anywhere. So you can see there on the left side I tied it into the upright tube, and then it's also at the bottom welded into the crankcase tube, whatever you'd call that, crankset tube, and then also the bracket for the kickstand. So triple tied into everything, and then we have steel tube welded all the way around, and then going up to this angle iron holding the second pillow block. So that is nice and strong. Alright, there it is. Completely done and installed and bracketed and everything. Now I also have adjustment on the right side here with these muffler clamps, so if I ever need to clock the tilt on this, either this way or this way, all I have to do is move that pillow block up and down. So that way, yeah, we have a aligned sprocket that works, so that's pretty awesome. So yeah. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and wow, was that project a lot of work today. Well, actually 2 days I spent fabricating this jackshaft and trying to get it to work and get everything to line up, but I think I finally got there. So if you guys like this build, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and then I'll go ahead and I'll see you guys next time.